Kevin D. Jones for Fayette County Commissioner, the candidate who is, he says, forward together and stronger together. So I'm going to put the mic on Kevin, and we're going to ask a few questions and find out exactly how he feels and what he's planning on doing for Fayette County. Okay, Kevin.
Thank you so much. This is a really fun thing to do.
This is
it's
fun.
a really awesome way to get out to the public and make sure that people actually have a chance to meet us in a more casual atmosphere.
Terrific, terrific. Just talking to you for half an hour before we started this, you're a very genuine, friendly fella. I'm enjoying this conversation. Let's find out what you can bring to Fayette County if you're elected. And I don't want to say when. I don't endorse anybody. I'm putting that right out there right now. I've done several of these podcasts, and I never tell anybody who I'm voting for. But that doesn't mean I can't like you as a person.
To be honest, isn't that what we need to bring to Fayette County politics more than anything else right now? Is the idea of actually hiring 3 county commissioners that we know for a fact can work together and have complementary talents and allow us to be strong together and move forward together as a group and bring that to every single element of our county.
Right.
From wall to wall.
You know, I see that you're approaching this more from a, let's say, angle of the education aspect. You were a history teacher.
So I taught history in the Albert Gallatin School District for 16 years. My wife taught there for 18. My mother taught in Uniontown School District for 36. So I definitely have that side in my blood.
Yeah, that's your background.
I have it in my blood.
Yeah.
Prior to becoming a school teacher, I opened up the Teletech in Morgantown.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I was the manager of training there, manager of quality assurance, 1,000 employees, 26 directly towards me, millions of dollar budgets to companies like Citibank, Verizon, Gateway Computers, traveled the country, taught in Los Angeles, Burbank, Van Nuys, Morgantown, taught managers and supervisors how to properly manage their staff, how to everything from sexual harassment trainings to basic customer service. So I have a business side that I think bringing to the table. For me, dealing with vice presidents from Citibank and Verizon and JCPenney's and Gateway Computers was a normal day of business for me. Trying to open up a brand new business in a booming town like Morgantown, just no-brainer for me. That's part of my background too.
No challenge there.
Yeah, that's not a challenge. So I think that when you take that kind of business-like attitude and you apply it to the setting of the county commissioner's office, I think you have to ask the question is, when you're trying to hire these 3 county commissioners that are going to be complementary, are they going to have the ability to go to businesses that are of a large scale with the background that is similar to the person you're talking to? Yes, there's also my school's professional side. As a public educator here in Fayette County, I really know the talent we're creating. I understand the talent we're creating, and yes, sometimes we're sending those adult children away with that talent, and sometimes they don't actually get on the books as far as the numbers. I would like to see those adult children come home. When I look at the idea of building businesses here in Fayette County, I look at places like Boeing in Fairchance, where so many of the jobs are engineers. Since the 1980s, when I grew up in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, I watched this county lose 25,000 people in population.
I'll be the first to say that I think that the workforce around here needs, well, there's definitely a lot of infrastructure that needs. I own a restaurant, I own a business. It's hard to find people that are, I mean, I'm not, people don't need to work as much as they once did. There's a lot of social programs. I don't want to say too many because I believe in if people need assistance, they deserve assistance.
temporary assistance.
Yes, thank you. Thank
Temporary
you.
assistance.
Thank you.
Because I think it's important to understand that I'm a conservative Democrat.
Great, I
And
didn't know
so
that.
I want that assistance to be.
So that means you're a moderate.
No, I really don't think so. Because there are elements of my background that are certainly very progressive, but when it comes to the way we manage our tax dollars, we must be conservative, because
Yeah.
there are so many residents here who really don't have more to give. And I think we have to be very wise in how we spend each one of those tax dollars. I think that's just good business. I think if you demonstrate that, that's what attracts other businesses, so that they know that the local government is actually running in a business-like fashion. And you have to decide, what type of business are you attempting to run? A low-level business or a high-level business? It's what type of people are you used to dealing with as a business person?
Well, I love the fact that you have an education background and a business background. I started looking over your Facebook page. This is the first time that Kevin and I have ever met. So,
My first job out of school was working for Fayette County Head Start. So I've been in some, working in the homes with families who are struggling,
right.
helping them navigate very difficult paperwork for both the county, the state, the federal government.
So you know
I've been-
I mean you've been in the trenches.
Yeah.
You know.
I know how hard the jobs
You know what
are,
and what it
that
is
are
like to
going
actually live
be-
here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a fifth generation Fayette County resident. I like to tease people that in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, I have 5 generations of my family buried. My love of this county extends to the families that struggle and the families that succeed, and being able to respect both simultaneously. Yes, families definitely need help.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal is that help is temporary, because you've provided the correct services
Help
that
somebody get
allows
back on their
them.
feet.
I always say we're not giving handouts, we're giving hand-ups.
Hey, that's great. That's
But we also have to, when I hear people say that you should pull yourself up from your bootstraps, I do remind them that there is a time when we have to provide some other things.
yeah. Oh, if people need help, I think everybody deserves a second chance or help or whatever.
I'll give you a concrete example from my business side. So at Teletech, as the manager of training, one of the elements, you're training thousands of people simultaneously. We're running 3 shifts of training. And on top of that, I'm teaching managers and supervisors how to do things as simple as have someone comply with the dress code. Well, I fought the corporate office in Denver and basically said, hey, I would like you to be very gentle with this dress code as far as the supervisors are concerned, because a lot of these employees need to have their first 2 paychecks before they can actually comply with this dress code.
Right.
Well, they didn't quite realize that.
A lot of people around the country don't realize what's.
Yeah, it's like we want them to comply with the dress code. We want them to have that professional attire, which also focuses on their demeanor as a professional. But we also have to be honest and say we need them, because in so many cases this is a job transition for them, that they really need to have those first 2 paychecks before you really start writing someone up.
Sure.
Or making them comply with that procedure as far as the dress code.
Now, they can't wear the clothes if they can't.
If
they
they
own
haven't
them.
bought them. Exactly. And these are simple realities, and sometimes you have to be very honest and you have to be very blunt and allow that, create an opportunity for the employee to have success through mentorship rather than just some kind of clamping down. There needs to be an opportunity for the person to show that they have the ability to change.
Absolutely.
And that even goes with behavioral issues or work compliance issues. These are the real things that employers are dealing with. You take the drug crisis that's so popular in discussion right now.
I
in
was
Fayette County.
saving saving that for later on and for one of my hardball questions, but let's bring it up now. What do you think about the drug crisis, the opiate crisis in Fayette County? What can we do? And with this goes along with people trying to find jobs around here. Now, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I know a lot of people that have applied for jobs yet can't pass a drug test.
Yes.
They can't. They want to work. Excuse that phone. It's going to ring a few rings. They want to work, but they just, whenever it comes time for a drug test, they either don't show up because they know they're not going to pass it,
Yes.
or they just simply fail it.
So, not looking at it holistically, I think, is one of our issues right now, is that we have to make sure that we understand that if the person is applying for work, then they have started down the path of taking the steps of recovery.
Yes.
So we have to look at that person, and number one, we're never going to shame them. We're never going to shame their family or their household for taking those first steps.
Right.
But I also believe that we have to be forthright and honest and say, the next step that you have here in this cycle that you're about to enter is recovery. And we need to make sure that we provide the correct services for that recovery, both in the drug side and also in the mental health side. Because this is a mental health issue as well. If an individual is choosing drugs over a lifestyle and a career and a paycheck, then they have a mental health issue that needs to be addressed. That's plain and simple. We need to look at it from the perspective that I wish more people would discuss. We have to start engaging all hands on deck, is what I've been saying here in Fayette County. Churches, legions, VFWs.
How would you plan on tying these together? Do you have any plan already set in
So,
your, at least in your mind? Let's say.
What I've done is I've had the opportunity to speak to a lot of different pastors and priests, and also Catholic charities. Here's my philosophy. In most of our communities, no matter how small or how large, the largest room in that community is actually the local church. Now, if we can engage the pastors and the priests and the people who are active in those congregations to come together in one place, in one room, we can actually bring the service providers to them and educate them on this crisis so that they understand. Because to be real honest, there's a gentleman sitting next to a person at church every Sunday who's one workplace injury away from being prescribed something too strong that they actually don't understand by a physician and get hooked on it for an incredibly long period of time.
I've had this touch my life, not to me as a person, but someone that was in my life. And it's difficult for me to talk to. I don't want to bring any names or any situations into this. So I know the situation all too well.
These are drugs that were created by pharmaceutical companies and provided by physicians. Mm-hmm. And yes, they are creating changes in their procedures, but I don't think rapid enough. And there's an older woman sitting next to you who is one hip injury away from being prescribed something that she doesn't fully understand, and it's our responsibility to make sure that they do understand ahead of time, because many people may actually choose a different path rather than taking the drug for any length of time, and especially a length of time that would require them to be addicted to it. Now,
there's nothing on the county level that you can actually do to...
Oh, we need a cheerleader.
But
we need an organizer.
Hey.
And we need to have 3 people with complementary talents so that when I'm responsible for administrative tasks, which I've done my entire life at the business level and at the teaching level, as an educator, to be able to... I was our union president for 6 years at Albert Gallant and negotiated our last teaching contract, looking at RFPs and requests for proposals, looking at detailed contracts.
I don't want to change the subject, but
that's no brainer to me.
I see that you're endorsed by the PSEA.
Yes, I have the PSEA endorsement, which also covers the PSEA healthcare at Highlands Hospital, and also the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters of America. I've received their endorsement, and I've been endorsed by the Young Democrats of Fayette County.
Terrific.
And that's incredibly rare to endorse a primary candidate, period. Incumbents get endorsed, but not primary candidates. And
Right.
so I'm very, very humbled by their choice in me at a primary level.
Okay. Now, I'm not trying to get away from the opiate discussion. We might even try and work our way back
We
into
can
that.
circle back without any problem at all.
But I want to know why you want to serve the county. Why you want
Sure,
to serve
it's
the
always
people.
why me, why now?
Let's get to Like,
Sure.
we have to, you know, people want to hear, they want to know that kind of cheese. I mean, that's the cheese, that's the cheese and bologna inside the sandwich. They wanna know why.
I promised my students that it was time to stop talking about history and actually do something special for them. Plain and simple. It is time to stop talking about it and do it.
Wow.
And the first time one of my
Put up or
students
shut
would
up.
discover that I created the Fayette County flag,
Yeah, tell me
that
about
flies
that.
over all the corners of Fayette County.
That was coming up
And they're
next.
like, "You really? You did that?" And it's, yes, it is a moment to coalesce the ideas of who we are as a county with our history and give us a brand.
Explain the flag and
So the flag has
where it flies.
So, well, you can see it over the 911 center. You can see it inside the courthouse, and we have those nice welcoming signs on different roads coming into Fayette County where you can see the flag flying up there. I think we need a few new ones. A few of them look a little pale to me. It's the good old red, white, and blue, but not as stripes, but as patches with our logo of, with our actual outline of Fayette County, and good old General Lafayette, our namesake. We're one of the few places in the country named after General Lafayette that he actually visited himself. Our entire corner of our state are all Revolutionary War generals.
Right.
And then just so happens that I believed that when it came to the idea of representing us, I put right there on the flag, fraternity, equality, and liberty. That's who we are. That's who we are as a county.
Okay, you did this in
In
1996.
1994-ish is when I
the
started.
article I saw.
Yeah, it was
okay.
96.
96.
Yeah, I made 13 flags.
How did you get this appointed?
Completely by
appointment?
accident.
Okay.
Completely by accident. They were looking for a person to organize the Lafayette Day events and do the historical research of exactly Lafayette's travels through Fayette County. And so I planned the event countywide, and people started saying we need to have a flag. We have it. The old flag of Fayette County was a little drab, and
What
it
was
was
the
good
old?
for
What
its
was
time.
the old flag?
It's like it has like 3 stars on it. It's a blue background with the courthouse tower on it, and so it really, in so many ways, is only a recognizable symbol for Uniontown. And I wanted to make it a little bit more global for all of us. And once I started digging into Lafayette's history and realizing that he actually really did make a concerted effort in his trip as an elder, he was 65 years old, to come to Fayette County and see the place that was named after him. And that's special.
Sure.
And that's special. And that's the kind of pride that we have to instill in our kids. And it's the kind of pride that people from the outside need to understand we have. And we had a discussion at our forum for the Fayette County Chamber of Commerce. Someone brought up the concept of Fayette Nom as
That's-
a descriptor.
I was writing a few notes here, and I was going to bring up since you're not your typical. Well, I'm going to say you're not your typical Fayette County resident because you've worked abroad. You know the business field. You're worked in higher education. You seem extremely qualified for this position. But I definitely think that Fayette County needs a facelift, or we definitely have to work on how we appear from the outside. I mean,
Here's how, when my students would bring up the concept of Fayette Nom, I would always say, number one, that is incredibly insulting to the men and women who served in Vietnam. It is disrespectful of the service that they provided us in
I'm
our
not
country.
laughing. It's just
Yeah.
I never heard anyone take that approach, and that's good.
It's disrespectful, and
Can I tell you? I'm going to say one thing. One time, I went up to the health department in Uniontown, the Office of the Health Department. Now I'm going back about 15 years, and I walked in there, and they had a flag, a map of Fayette County, and they had Fayette Nom hanging right in the lobby of the health department.
right up in New Stanton, you can go to a gas station, and it says they sell T-shirts that say "Straight Out of Fayette Nom," and that is a joke to them about us. And so many people say, "Well, we'll just ignore it." And my philosophy is that you need to attack it. Okay, you need to directly attack it and make sure people understand that it's offensive.
Right.
Okay, that this is offensive and it needs to stop. It is offensive to us and who we are, and it is no longer a joke. It's no longer a joke because that's not really who we've ever been. It's not who we've ever been.
No, it's somebody probably said it as a clever little Vietnam, Fayette, and then it caught on. But yeah, it's not funny. It's not funny.
It's not funny. And I think that ignoring something, I was never successful ignoring bullies. I prefer to address them directly. That's who I am. And so, yeah, I mean, it spins all the way back down around, that simple concept spins its way all the way back around to the idea of the opioid crisis. Do we have challenges? Do we have problems? Yes, we do. Some of those problems are lack of jobs, blight in your neighborhood. I don't care if you have a successful plan with Senator Stefano and his bill associated with blight, or if you're going the direction of Governor Wolf with his Restore Pennsylvania and his way of addressing blight. I really don't care anymore. I want one of those to be successful. I want the arguments to stop, and I want us to address our blight, because that's the neighborhood that child plays in. That's what they drive past on their way to school. That's what the business owner, who I would like to attract to come in here, is going to see as they travel around. And if we address it, we can actually create we have to have some hope internally that we know that we're on a successful path. So you need 3 county commissioners with talented resumes to do the job of administrating the county, dealing with the budgets, dealing with the day-to-day operations, and that each one of these individuals is so talented that they can go above and beyond.
And you sound like you're not afraid to voice your opinion and put your foot in someone's rear end to get things moving.
Or knock on doors and say hello.
Whatever
I'm
it
a
takes.
professional with a professional background in running a professional county, and your business should be here too.
Nice.
I think that's the attitude. And during Lent, if you better go to some amazing fish fries at every single church, because we've got amazing ones, and teach them our culture, teach them who we are. This is the best place for pizza. This is the best place for a steak. And it's owned by a person who lives down the street.
Let's address the locally owned business as opposed to all the corporate stores that seem to be moving into the area.
I grew up in Brownsville. I fell down cart steps as my mom and my grandmother were buying ladies' dresses, and watched them move to the mall because that was the place to be, and watched them close down their store in the downtown. And there's a part of me that has to believe that our county is still grieving all those losses of the neighborhood store, the neighborhood restaurant, the family who lived in your neighborhood that owned that store, and we're still grieving that process. So we really need to circle our wagons and focus on the locally owned businesses and make sure that we're choosing them, Yes, we're going to have big box stores, and yes, Walmart's going to go into every town in America and close someone down.
And these stores,
that's going to happen. They're powerful.
And if you want to bring outside business, I mean, everyone has to understand that they want to see these amenities in place for people when they move in.
And
I mean,
that's fine.
That's the way of the world.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm still.
I've come to accept that. I understand as a businessman.
But we have to fill those rooms.
Right.
We have to fill those rooms of the local people
We
who
can't
actually
forget
live
about
here.
the people that were here that built.
No, we should probably push them first.
That's great.
We should push them first. One of the things that I was talking about with folks was, it's a modern world, and we have to kind of get beyond the trifold pamphlet advertising our county. We need to, and I'm very, and I'll be honest, I'm very disrespectful towards, Falling Water is not near Pittsburgh. Falling Water is near Uniontown.
Right.
And that's how it should be labeled. Do you understand me? We must possess that back, and we must raise our voice, and we must be noisy enough to make people say that no, Ohio Powell is near Connellsville, and it's near Uniontown, and it's here in Fayette County. It's not near Pittsburgh. It's about how you advertise.
So what?
It's how you say it.
What are we going to
Ownership.
What are we
of
going
our
to do
own
to
backyard.
promote the tourism industry even more than what it already is?
I personally think that we have to make a much more concerted effort when it comes to our websites. We need to make a much more concerted effort when it comes to making sure that they're accessible on phones. And I was joking with the person the other day. I said, with Jumonville Glen, I was there with my family and accidentally stumbled into 3 French families who came down from Quebec, and they all had ancestors who had fought in the French and Indian War, but not on the English side.
Right. Fascinating. Yeah.
They were all part of Jumonville's troops. And with some fun and some broken English and some of my son's broken French, we had a really good time talking about the history from both sides and learning about their family. And I thought to myself, wow, I wonder if we ever promoted that up there. Did we ever make a little French pamphlet and shoot it off to Quebec, or did we have like a little French page just for them to try and draw them down to Falling Water and everything else, and Ohio Powell, and have a good time? Did we ever just give that a shot? You can practically do that on Google Translate yourself nowadays.
Right.
This is not a step of tax dollars. This is not a step of effort. This is really just something very simple in modern age. It doesn't require a lot.
It just takes a little ingenuity and a little
creativity, different perspective.
Yeah.
The same thing comes back to the idea of businesses being brought in here. I want businesses brought to Fayette County where the people who work there actually reside here. They actually live here with us.
Yeah.
And you said it earlier. We need. Okay, so my wife, she was an educator as well, and after an incredibly hard day of teaching advanced placement English, she and I would still plan the prom. We would still plan a senior trip. She would still do the yearbook, newspaper. I would help out. You see, those were all above and beyond. Do a really good job, and then do more. And then do more. And do your job description, and do it incredibly well. And now do more. And we have people all over this county doing those things. We do. For their own social organizations. And we need to reflect that. We have to reflect that same kind of work ethic. And so, yeah, that's why I keep trying to push the idea of I trust the Fayette County voters well enough to realize that there are 3 seats, and that it would be a really good idea if those 3 seats were complementary to each other, so that the actual job of our county gets done.
Do you feel like you have a shot?
I don't think I'm allowed to.
Not to feel that way?
No, I don't think
You don't want to jinx yourself?
No, I think it's about work.
Okay.
Yeah, knocking on doors, saying hello, going to every event humanly possible, exhausting myself to meet as many people as I possibly can.
Grassroots?
Yeah, I don't have resources. I don't have mailers and flashy stuff.
How are you going to get your name out there? You have a couple of...
Hi, thank you so much.
You have a couple of wonderful...
Hutchins Tapper, thank you so much. I appreciate that very much for helping me get my name out there. Yeah, the only thing I can do is the
I love this
old-fashioned
guy.
way. I can only do it the old-fashioned way. That's all I have. Put up my
I'm not trying to
signs,
put you on
go
the
to my
spot.
neighbors. No,
I'm
it's
trying
not
to get,
about being on the spot. I just
I
want
want
to consider.
people to meet you, and I want them to know where to look for you.
Well, I'll be at
see
Ohio Powell on Saturday. There's an event down in Nicholson Township I'll be at on Saturday. If you see me at a Cash Bash, grab me. Go to the Herald Standard election page. I put my email and my telephone number in the Herald Standard. I know I'm the only candidate to do it. Reach out. Say hello. Join me on Facebook. Message me. Say hi. The
Hold it up.
that's a. My wife made me put that picture on there. Yeah, but that's okay.
It's a guy.
I knew people needed me to see that.
Kevin is a guy. Kevin is a guy who's working with his wife.
Yeah, it's just it's just her and I and friends that I call on the phone to tell me that I'm trying my best, and it's yeah, I'm not a guy with the resources that other folks have. I have a resume, a vision, and a personality that when you send me to talk with other county commissioners, I believe that I'm the guy you want there. When it comes to the state level, I believe that I'm the guy you want there.
So you're not intimidated by any playing field, is that what you're
No,
saying?
there's no playing field.
Yeah.
If I can do 8th graders, I can, pretty much everything's fine. And like I said, if I can handle vice presidents of major corporations, I'm totally fine. I have degrees in philosophy, religion, history. There's not a lot of stuff that actually spooks me. People talk about the learning curve, and I'm like, folks, give Aristotle and Plato a shot, and you find out that most documents are pretty much okay after that.
Well, I know a couple people that'll vote for you already now.
And and please understand that I don't. People want to talk about their resumes and their experience and all the things that they've done, and I think these things are so important. But just the simple things.
I'm scrolling your webpage
It's
right now on here, so that on your Facebook page, go to Kevin Jones for Fayette County Commissioner on Facebook, and you'll find out a lot about Kevin. It's quite an interesting read.
We had a gentleman on MSNBC trashing Fayette County, and I was the only person out of all the candidates who, opened up a dialogue in the Herald Standard to try and argue against this guy. And here a national author actually writes back to the Herald Standard in good old Uniontown to fight back with me. And nothing bothers me.
Did you punch him in the eye? Not literally, but
I would welcome to be able to debate him on a national stage about the glorious things that we have here. I will not allow the struggles of our problems to do the following. I know the jobs that our frontline providers have to deal with. They are hard, they're difficult, they are long hours, they take a lot of heart and a lot of your mind, and there's no way, shape, or form we're going to shame the people who provide these services. They work hard. Number two, we're not going to shame the families that end up in bad situations. We're just not. That is not the way you promote success. And number three, I do not believe that we have to be in a situation where we as people only focus on the negative things that we drive past. We have to begin looking at the positive things and promoting those positive things at the exact same time. You do not have to have just a focus on one thing at a time. Because I believe that you hear a lot of folks only talking about the drug crisis or only talking about blight. These have to be done simultaneously. And then everyone wants to talk about a learning curve, when it comes to county commissioner's job. Yes, every job that you
everything
take
has a learning curve.
has a learning curve.
But also, I'm going to come at you with kind of a hardball.
Your job is the job of the electorate is to hire people who can handle that learning curve.
How do you plan on doing this, though? I mean, nobody has a definitive plan, but you have to have an idea how to achieve these goals.
So, so you pick one, and because it's your hardball question, you pick one. Which one would you like me? Because yes, everyone talks about the first 120 days.
Putting people to work.
So the idea of putting people to work, we have within an hour's drive of right here where I'm sitting, we have 17 top-notch universities, 17 that are unbelievably really good schools. We need to make sure that we engage those schools because they already know where they're sending those students to be employed. They have career services departments.
There's that phone again.
They have career services departments, and they know where they're sending those employees. we tap that database and actually go to those employers and attempt to draw them here.
Okay.
That's how you fill a business park.
Do
You see,
I
you
was
go
gonna
knock
ask-
on doors.
That was the next thing I was going to ask.
That's how you fill a business
What
park.
about the
You don't-
business parks we have that, some of them have, but they're not full.
They're not full.
I had a.
So
in
the
a-
kid that you knew who worked here, that went to school over at Penn State or went to school at Cal or went up to St. Vincent, one of your neighbors, where did they end up going? And why did they end up going there? Well, if there's a number of those people heading to those types of businesses, then we need to attempt to bring that business here into our business park. That's how you do it. Where did our kids leave to go?
I also see a lot of lack of skilled positions, lack of trade. People don't know the trades anymore.
So we have two
It's
amazing career and technical institutes.
Right, not
They're
everything
really good.
is in academics. Not everyone's an
We
academic.
have, in college, I
you
spent
speak,
my
you speak from
summers
the
at the
academic.
fake.
I can tell, but we also have to consider.
But I taught building maintenance at the Fayette County School. I also taught auto body and I taught carpentry.
Okay.
When I was in my summers in college, and I worked for Columbia Gas on the pipeline. I have the experience
So you have
of the
both
diversity.
sides.
I have both sides.
You see both sides.
So I had to go home after a day, and my father would have to hose the mud off of me from being in a trench all day, holding an umbrella over a welder so that he could do a high pressure transmission line. So yes, I have both those sides,
Right.
and
So that's very important.
I
Especially I believe that's very important, especially in a rural, underdeveloped kind of as you say, blight-filled, beautiful county.
Exactly. So we need to be in a scenario where, I had to call a parent and explain to the father that his daughter really, really wanted to be a welder, and you guys were really pushing her to be a nurse. And here's how the program's set up at the VOTEC. Please give her a shot. Let her take that welding class. If she does not like it, and if you don't like it, then she can always transfer into the CNA program and still be a nurse like you were encouraging her. But she's talking about welding, and I'd like you to let her go. And the graduated as a welder. Father came up to me, thank you, because we were pushing her, and we were pushing her hard to be a nurse because she had so many family members who were nurses, and she's actually going to make more money now as a welder.
Oh, there's a lot of nurses. A lot of nurses can't get jobs. A lot of welders in need.
Exactly. And so, yes, you have to have that. Yes, I have an academic side, but I also have a real, genuine working side in my past too. One that didn't require a dress shirt and required boots.
Plumbers and pipe fitters. There you go.
And that's kind of how you end up in that scenario.
Right.
So we end up in this world where I would tease kids, please go study welding. You're going to have a nicer car than me. You're going to have a nice fast boat, and you're going to be able to enjoy a lifestyle that's amazing, a little bit better than a teacher. And please do it. Please do it. It's not all about college. And there is an element where we're going to have to be pretty, it's apparent now that we're going to have to be pretty forthright with our children and say, please understand that I want you to have a good career, but some of your careers are going to require testing.
Right. Well,
Please
everything.
understand that.
Life now is testing.
Well, I mean drug testing.
Oh yeah. Well, true.
No,
Okay.
I mean incredibly bold.
Wow.
We're going to have to be incredibly
You're
bold
bringing
with
it
our
back.
children.
Yeah, that is.
We have to be very bold.
I've had several girls that worked for me here that had problems with drugs. One OD'd. It was after she left here. But I tried to help her while she was here. And I still, it still bothers me. It still bugs the heck out of me that I couldn't have helped that girl.
That's why we need all hands on deck, so that every single person, the drugs are so incredibly strong, we have to be stronger.
Right.
The dealers are pretty creative businessmen, because there was drug problems when I worked for Head Start in the 90s. It just wasn't opioid. Okay? So cocaine was still an issue, heroin was still an issue, laced marijuana was still an issue. These are looking at the dealers as if they are not intelligent and creative businessmen is a dire mistake. So we have to be stronger.
No,
We have to be more
On
knowledgeable.
a county level, I don't know how you really be able to constructively combat the dealers. You know, I think that's what we
No.
need.
No, what we have to do is we have to make sure they have no one to deal to.
Okay.
Okay, so that the businessman will move
Eliminate
forward.
the customer.
Eliminate the customer. So if we're in that scenario where we combine the efforts of our already, what I believe, strong, intelligent social organizations, from the churches to the military organizations with the legions and the VFWs, to the lodges that we have between the Sons of Italy, Sons and Daughters of Italy, the Slovak clubs, the Polish clubs.
Now, would you do
every last one of them
Would you be active in
engaged?
starting to try and get something like that done? I would love to see somebody try and actually organize.
Yes, because that's how you go.
There is no
above and beyond.
organization in that.
That's how you
I've
go
talked to
above and
several other. No, I did a couple of interviews with other candidates, and we talked a little bit about the drugs, and mainly it was mainly on how to treat treat the victim. Is victim the right word? Treat the addict. I think they're a victim, so I use victim.
Sure.
Some people wouldn't agree with that terminology, but
How about educate all of us so that we know exactly what to do when one of our family members falls prey from the very beginning?
instead of waiting till they have to be picked up by an ambulance and being Narcaned and say,
Exactly.
well, our statistics are down now of overdoses only because now our ambulances are equipped to bring somebody back from the dead.
And leave a Narcan behind.
Right, right.
Yeah. So we have to become stronger, and so people will say, well, we need to educate our children in our schools. That's absolutely right, and you're fine. But are you willing to just wait for them to come up through the ranks, well-educated and knowledgeable? Or would you like grandma to be knowledgeable? Would you also like dad to be knowledgeable? Would you like mom to be knowledgeable? I say we attack it from all fronts simultaneously. And I also say that if we do it in our local church, in our local town, it requires absolutely no money.
So
It requires absolutely nothing.
you're a family man. You're a man of faith.
Yeah.
Tell me about your family. I don't want any names. I don't want, but
Oh, absolutely.
Because I
So
don't-
in 2 days, I lose my son, Quinn Jones. He will be going to San Francisco, California for his internship with Adobe Publishing. And he's a PhD student at WVU. Graduated at Albert Gallatin School District at 16 years of age with enough advanced placement credits to be listed as a sophomore at WVU. He graduated with 2 bachelor's degrees, not a dual degree, one in electrical engineering and one in computer science. Skipped his master's degree and went directly into his PhD, and now he has 2 years left in his PhD. So yeah, absolutely, I'm a big fan, and even though I'm gonna miss him, and gave big hugs yesterday, and my adopted daughter, Alexa Martin, my best girl. She is a PhD PhD chemist at WVU. Also skipped her master's and went straight into her chemistry degree. Both are graduates of Albert Gallatin School District. Both are amazing, and I'm pretty offended when anybody talks about us not producing amazing kids
I was just
in
about
our
to say.
entire county. I was president of the Fayette County Education Association, and it's I know we are producing amazing kids at all levels to apply for every job. It's just that
So
we really need to beat down doors to fill up the industrial parks, and then
Okay.
make new ones.
Right.
Beat down the doors. So supposedly we build 43, right? Here was the philosophy. We build 43, connect Morgantown with Pittsburgh. It's going to draw these jobs in. Well, we're open to Morgantown already.
Right. Where are the
Where are
jobs?
they? So we need to be in a position where, even though a lot of the people who participate at this level are a little bit older, We need to teach them and educate them to have trip off their tongue sewage, water, power, gas, high-speed internet connection. That has to all be in one sentence. I was-
5G.
it's
5G 's
all the
coming.
way through. It has to be. There is a fiber line going through my father's old front yard on Route 40. It's been there forever. We watched them put the fiber line right there. No human being has access to it. It goes straight through our county. We do not have access to it. No house, no home, no nothing. Now I'm assuming when we build the new industrial park over on Route 40, that they'll tap into it. But what about, you see, the modern world is a world where the person is using the high-speed internet access at work and at home, because work is still being carried out at home.
So tell me.
So we have, Cheat Lake, you go down 43, and immediately across our border, you have 5-story office buildings being built, doctor's offices everywhere, a golf course, a conference center, and million-dollar homes, all with high-speed internet access. But just 2 seconds right across the border, on our southern border, we don't have it.
Well,
So
yeah,
is it someone's plan to drag it all the way from Greensburg down,
there's a.
or pull it up?
The plan is it's Fayette County's, I'll use the word failures in many ways like that, and I'll let you expand upon this. But just as an example, whenever I was a kid and I was driving, me and my brother, we would drive down 119, crossing the bridge near William House over the bridge from Fayette County to Westmoreland County and back, and we would be in Westmoreland County, and the road would be perfect. There would be not one pothole, and we would start crossing that bridge, and as we crossed that bridge, the road was a mess, and we would be like, "Hey, we're in Westmoreland County. Oh, how nice and this road is," and it was from one bridge made the difference between how the highway was kept up. So
I think we're in a scenario where we have to look at each other and be honest that we're going to have a Fayette first attitude. And that means, yes, that fiber line went to help someone else, but I expect it to help us, period. Period. There has to be an attitude. Yes, you brought in all these jobs with the natural gas industry, and it filled our hotels. But what about our homes and our neighborhoods?
when is the natural gas going to come back, though?
It's probably, yeah. But it never did put down residents.
Yeah, not the boom, but
No, I mean, yes, it was a boom for many businesses.
not the boom that they were expected. Yeah, what people thought.
People didn't understand that it was a temporary employment situation, and that some of those people being employed, yes, are Fayette County residents, but a lot of them were folks that just came in, and you could see the license plates at the hotel that weren't from Pennsylvania, and then they weren't certainly here to live.
How do you?
They would
plan-
rent houses.
How about all those hotels we have in hotels and motels in Uniontown that don't have occupancies now? How are we going to fill those up?
We have to put ourselves, a portion of that has to be tourism.
Yeah, these questions.
That's what hotels are
these
for.
questions, I don't expect you to have these answers.
No, a
but-
portion
but
of that
I-
has to be tourism.
I'm not expecting you to say,
Yeah.
"Here's what we're going to do." I expect you to at least. Well, I'm hoping you can give some ideas, give people some
Yeah,
hope.
because when it comes to focusing on filling those hotels, that has to be tourism.
Right.
That's the purpose of a hotel. It's really not meant to be a temporary housing for an employer.
Right.
Right. So yeah, that 100% has to be the focus on tourism. But we also
we have the years ago when we would travel to say Florida, and you'd be on the interstate, and you would look off on certain interchanges where there was a lot of traffic. You would see all the stores and all the hotels and all the restaurants and things like that. And Fayette County, I remember when Connellsville got its first McDonald's, and it was like a big news. Hey, we have a McDonald's here in Connellsville, and a Wendy's open. It was like, oh my gosh! And now, so because we were so far down the totem pole, let's say, but now we're achieving this kind of status. We have the 70 to 43, the access. So there's a lot of traffic coming through here now. We have the places for people to stop. We just need to figure out why what's going to make them stop. We have the traffic going through here now.
Well, I think that there's an element for some of our smaller towns with the Sheepskin Trail to provide some of that. If we can hone in the appropriate businesses to those small towns, like bike rentals, places for people to stop as they're coming through, maybe even the possibility of smaller bed and breakfasts, the idea of small restaurants that are open in season for those folks. Even like, here's the thing about like the Sheepskin Trail, as it makes its big connection from, in our region all the way down to Washington, D.C. and West Virginia, it's slowly going to become a lot like the Appalachian Trail, except for bikers. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to concretely look at what is available for hikers on the Appalachian Trail and what is necessary for these bikers. That's what each one of these small towns needs. Because when you look at the Appalachian Trail, whenever you come to an appropriate stopping point in a small town, there are showers. There'll be a facility for showers. There's usually a small grocery store that hones in directly into small portion things that people will put in their backpacks. The same thing would have to apply to the bikes. Maybe even a repair area for those bikes.
No, this is all right. These
are concrete things that actually draw the tourists in and have them spend their money in that small community.
But the things that I would hope that the county would also work with private industry to try and get these things going.
Some of that goes straight to Fayette Penn.
Right.
That's the effort of making sure that Fayette Penn understands what those needs are and that there are willing people to actually be trained. And you're not in a scenario where you're just handed a worksheet and
now I have a question.
It has to be a better educational
While we're talking
scenario.
about the trail, the other two candidates I spoke with, I didn't bring this up, but because
it's my understanding from my research is a little bit of a railroad issue.
Well, I'm not going into that direction.
Yeah,
I was going to say the trails we have now. Now, I always worry about security on that trail.
We just had a portion of the Appalachian Trail shut down due to the rape of a woman with a machete. And it was 26 miles of the Appalachian Trail was shut down in Virginia as a crime scene. And that just happened a couple days ago.
Okay.
So when it comes to security, it is, we are in a position where the more activity we have locally puts more eyes on the scene, so that you can be in a scenario where there'll be less issues, because the more active it is, the more unlikely someone will feel that they can get away with doing bad things there.
Well, the trail, at least the way it's set up, our trail here through Connellsville, you see, it brings in a lot of outside people, which is what it's designed to do.
Exactly.
To bring people into town.
Well, I did the 5K walk down here in Connellsville, and very slowly, I might add, but I did the 5K walk. And, the shelters that they built there, the shower facilities, even tire pumps that they put in there. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Just stunning.
It's beautiful.
And we're going to have smaller versions of that in each one of the smaller communities. So that there's a break point for the biker, and then that break point actually generates an economic opportunity at that location as well. That's how that type of tourism functions.
Well, here let me bring up something in particular. We're just saying that, working the economic aspect off of having we also need to educate the merchants in these towns. I, for one, know of somebody that had a business right off the bike trail, and they had all kind of bikers that would stop, cyclists, stop in there to buy things, but they didn't like the idea of having to work with a shipper and ship things. And I was like, well, how do you expect people to carry,
on the Appalachian Trail and on these, on what they do is they will actually ship ahead things from their homes, and people, a business location will store them there for them. And then at that same location, as a convenience store mentality, everything is specifically designed for a hiker or a packer that they're actually going to put on their bikes, because they're going down the rail to the next.
You're kind of missing my point here. I mean, like, say it's a gift store, and people come in and see something for their home, like a cabinet or something. Like, you know, and I like that. It's rustic. It fits my area, but the merchants.
Didn't want to handle
They
the
didn't.
situation of shipping it back to
They,
their home.
they need to be educated on how to tell how to have. And I ran into 3 people that were like, I don't want to deal with that. I'm like, well, why are you set up right off the bike trail to get these people in there when you don't want to deal with it? I mean, there has to be. This is the kind of thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. Like there's things like that when we're talking about educating people, you know, there's a lot more that goes into that than you think. I mean, people just they don't even know how to. Some people.
If you go to Disney World right now and you buy something in a gift shop, all you do is tell them your room number and it appears in your room.
Right.
You don't even carry it around anymore. So, helping people to understand what the modern consumer
this is a very small point I'm bringing up, but
it's fine.
But it's just something I'm trying to like use it as an example. How many things need addressed?
You identified that need. Now I know that need. Now, I, try and encourage everyone to elect me county commissioner, and we work with Fayette. We work with the Fayette Chamber of Commerce in order to design specific opportunities for them to learn.
If there was just a helpline or
a simple mentorship program.
Send out flyers to everybody that works and has businesses in Fayette County, because so many people don't utilize.
Jimmy Smith over here in this town figured out how to do it, and he's willing to take your emails and a telephone call because you're a neighbor, and he'll teach you exactly what to do. Pop down his shop. He's willing to have you come down, and maybe we'll have him down to the Connellsville canteen, and he'll throw up a PowerPoint. These are multi-pronged attacks that, to be honest, a lot of business owners quite enjoy. I imagine you could have them on a podcast really quickly and easily and do it well done. Good old Jimmy Smith would be like, yeah, I'll tell anybody, and then you'll record it, and then they can go see it whenever they want. You understand, we have this community. We have these people. And my question is, can we infect each other with that hope and enthusiasm?
Yeah, well.
So that all of our boats rise together, and as you said at the very beginning, we move forward together because we are stronger together. That's what I keep saying to everyone.
I'm trying to mention a few, they might not be real problems or real things, but I don't see anybody addressing them like that. Like I just mentioned about nobody having the knowledge how to ship something. But when people come into this area, they just automatically expect to use Apple Pay.
Absolutely.
Or whatever. and they're not. People are half of people were just starting to take credit cards. I mean, not only do the workforce and our youth need educated and brought up to standards that are outside the county, but when people come into this county, if they walk into these places and they can't, they don't even take checks. And they're like, who's riding on the bike trail with $200 in cash in their pocket?
It's not happening.
Yeah.
It's just not happening. And so, yes, sometimes we don't get.
I mean, there's a lot that needs to be. I mean, you got your hands full, Kevin.
A friend of mine. Yeah, no, I don't have my hands full, because when I would sit down at my middle school, and at the end of the year we would have a hot dog and hamburger fry, and I would actually have to teach children how to open up a hot dog bun because no one had ever shown them. That's a wonderful moment. It's a simple moment. It's a beautiful moment, and I have no problem with that. That doesn't faze me one bit. And the ability to write that up so that a person who has an amazing antique shop, and they're in their 60s and they have an amazing collection and they're absolutely adorable, and the minute that the person drove down from Pittsburgh and stopped in there, they realized that this was the coolest place ever and that they were just the nicest people. Why I don't see why we have the character in this county to also take her and teach her exactly what she needs to comply with a modern consumer.
How much of this character in this county, and I don't want to blame past governments, whether it be city or county, but how much of the character in this county has been architecturally in these towns destroyed, just
No hope.
razed.
No hope.
It sickens me when I drive through, and I remember like some buildings that are gone, and I think like if some of those buildings still existed, what would really this would be a destination, and
We
it still is a destination.
It
but
is a destination, and we have a chance, and that chance is now,
we have to
and
build
we
on
have to grab it. We have to grab it now.
Fortunately, they couldn't raise our history like Lafayette, Jumonville,
Jumonville. And you know,
Fort Necessity.
Fort Necessity, with George Washington's first battle ever,
Where he lost.
Basically signing a document that was written in French that he didn't even understand what he was signing, because there was no one in his crew that could actually read French, and so admitting to complete fault and starting an entire war that lasted for 7 years.
And
So thank goodness the father of our country had that experience in his background to make us as amazing as we are.
or thank goodness there was no social media then, or else he would have
that's
never
true.
been the father of our
That's
country.
true. That's true. But yeah, I think we end up in that scenario where this is an absolutely brilliant place to live with some pretty genuine problems that are not unique to us. So why keep acting like they're unique to us? We have these problems. We need to identify them, and we need to attack them. If any county commissioner, person, or candidate, or anybody says you do that in the first 120 days, you don't. You make an honest, transparent, concerted effort to address every single thing that you possibly can. You work incredibly long hours. You give it every bit of mental and physical energy you have, because this job is a service to the people that have chosen us.
Okay, we're going to start to wrap this up, but then, my whole intention here is to let people get to know you and to see.
They're going to think I'm just a huge dork.
Or that you're a highly qualified dork.
I don't mind. I can wear that badge with ease.
But I would like people to, I'm intentionally struggling with my wording because I don't want to throw anyone under the bus or anybody of the past, but the way things have been going, how would you change how the county's been run? What would you do a little bit differently or add to what we have going on now?
I've been as
You have to
observant as I possibly
And
can be.
this is just so we have like an idea of your vision for the future. I mean, everyone can say what you want to do. We discussed what you want to do, how you want to, but not really how. And nobody knows how they really want to do something. But what you want to accomplish. But what would you change that needs changed?
So there's one thing that will be controversial, that would get people to be maybe frustrated with me, that would be fun for you to hear, and that is I would like to see the members of our boards in Fayette County at all levels actually have a small Robert's Rules of Order training, so that each and every member of the board is equally conversant and knowledgeable of all of Robert's Rules of Order on how to run the meeting. Each one would be as capable as the chair or the solicitor, and completely knowledgeable about how to make motions, how to table motions, and each person would actually be an equal.
Well, this is
And that's
definitely
a very controversial thing to say, I think.
spoken
And I would love to.
from somebody with an educational background, and I think that's a terrific idea. I mean, I get frustrated with. I know it's a couple friends. If I just show them that little snippet of you right now saying that, we'll probably do backflips to vote for you.
I think that when a person who is appointed to a board should feel knowledgeable and empowered and realize that they are all equals.
Yes.
And the only way to do that, as an educator, is to make sure that they feel talented and that they feel capable. And so I think it all starts in that simple idea of how the meeting is run, which is based on Robert's rules, and then they'll feel that they are an equal voice for real. They really are.
Yeah.
Because now they're capable. And no one's going to try and pull anything, pull anything over on them because they know how to respond. And the other part that I think is, I have a friend who sits on a board, and she shared with me that no one ever asks her for and this is a board outside of the county, but she's assigned to it from the county. No one ever asks her to report back. No one ever asks her to report back. Now, when I had 20, odd employees and a supervisor and a secretary and dealing with 1,000 more employees, they reported back to me every week.
Just what
every week.
This all speaks
Period.
volumes to
Every
your,
one of
your,
them
your
reported
past
back to me every
training
week.
in the business world, yeah.
And as managers and directors, we met every day. And these were not useless meetings. These were meetings where we went over the data and the numbers and made sure that we were meeting performance standards. And that the employees were also matching those employments, those metrics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they should all be data driven. I had a woman I met knocking on doors say that she sent these letters to county officials and everyone kept saying that that's not my job. That was the letter she got back. That's not customer service. Customer service is, that's not something that I handle. This is the person who handles it. This is their email address, and this is their telephone number, and this is why they handle it. That's customer service. Okay? Not, that's not me.
Yeah,
That's not what I do.
At least just
You know who does that. I know you do, because you knew it wasn't your job. So, write down for this poor person, right, whose job it is to do, what their name is, what their email address is, and what their telephone number is, and then shoot them an email that you just gave it to them. I would never give your telephone number to someone unless I asked you permission, right? So yeah, that's basic customer service. Have you ever called the wrong phone number? At a large organization, they don't just say, yeah, you called the wrong number, and then hang up.
the ones in Fayette County do.
That's what we have to do is we have a basic
Training from
That's the genuine.
If the government, if the county government can't perform in a business-like manner, you can't expect everyone else.
And you can't expect the business to come and respect you.
Right.
And so, one of the things that I always say to people is, when someone discusses the idea of, oh, I worked in business, well, at what level?
Mm-hmm.
At what level, and what were your responsibilities there? Because that's really the question you're asking when you're attempting to hire someone for a job based upon their background and experience. Will people, if I'm so lucky to make it through this next round, and the people choose me, to go further, I'm going to make a decision that is incredibly important for the people of this county, and other people aren't going to like it. That's the job.
Do you
That's
have
the job.
Is it? I'm not even going to pry. If you make it past this first hurdle, we'll bring you back in and we'll discuss that more. How's that?
Yeah. I can't
Unless you
thank
want to talk about it now.
I can't thank you. I think that it's a matter of character, the idea to say, yes, I'll be transparent and honest with you about the decision that I made. You don't have to go change your party. You don't have to go vote for an independent. You can have it right here. Transparency, honesty, tell you exactly why I made that decision, who it's going to help, how we get all the boats to rise together because of it, and why it was a good decision. And if someone else says to me that, I really think that was a bad decision, it's my job to listen to why they said that and what they believe. That's my job. And to be honest, I think that's most of our jobs. Apply to that. I think they're very simple. I don't think things have to be as complicated as some people make it. I think it's about finding someone with the correct character and doing it. And that goes back to the question you asked me before, which is that I have to wake up in the morning and pretty much think that I'm, I might, I'm going to lose, and so I have to work harder, and wake up tomorrow morning and work harder because I don't want to lose, because I think I have what we need.
Something to offer.
I think
Something
I have
that's
what we
needed.
need. I can't thank you enough for the time that you've given me. I can't thank you enough for your hospitality and the wonderful atmosphere you've created here. And I just want you to know that I'm incredibly appreciative of your time.
Well, my page, this will be on my HTR on-air page, and it has about 100 followers, but my Hutch's Taproom page has we're looking at nearly 2,800 followers.
Wow.
So when I put this on there, it should reach at least initially right off the bat 1,000 people, and they'll share it. I'll share it to your page.
Thank you.
And then you can share it to the Young Democrats.
Sure.
And
See, I just had to
hold
make
on,
sure.
let me put you on there.
Say, thank you, folks. Thank you if you took time to listen this far, my goodness, God bless you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, well, I'm going to wrap this up then. I'm going to say that Kevin Jones, Democrat, running for the County Commissioner Democrat position. He's a retired school teacher, businessman, union man, local business advocate. He's endorsed by the Penn State Education Association.
No, the Pennsylvania State Education.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
yes,
okay.
Pennsylvania State. That's in my notes.
That's okay. I just-
PSCA.
Yeah, the PSCA, the Pennsylvania State Education Association.
Yeah, plumbers and pipe fitters.
Yeah, and Young Democrats.
Democrats.
And I'm pretty sure that my family endorses me so far.
He's endorsed by his family.
I'm pretty sure. I'm really hoping. I hope I have their vote. I'm crossing my fingers.
Well, I'm showing your Facebook page one last time. I'm going to cut away to us because I would like to shake your hand.
Thank you so much. Truly.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you so much.
It's been a quite an enjoyable interview. I hope everyone else out there sits through the entire thing. We went an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow. I'm gonna have to cut that down.
I'm gonna have to do some editing.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned for the possible bloopers reel.
You don't want it. In the making.
In the making.
Well, I'll put that in the ending credits, like in the Smoking the Bandit or whatever. Okay. Well, thank you again, and
Thank you so much.
hey, this was great.
Thank you.
Hopefully, I can, like I say, I'm not doing any endorsements, but let's say if you go to the next round and if you need another interview, I'm your man.
Thank you so much. You're so kind.
Thank you.